Welcome to Hometown Happenings. Today I'm Carol McCarthy here with Dan Olson, and we are on the lovely Long Lake, and Dan is here to talk about water quality monitoring, and we are going to talk with a member of the Berg family who have been water quality monitors for 25 years.
Yeah, we're very proud of them and the other citizen monitors that we have across the state of Minnesota. And what the program is, essentially, is that families or even individuals who live on a lake or near a lake volunteer to take weekly samples of the lake. What they do is they drop a disc down on a cord to see how far down before it disappears, and then they record that measurement and they log that and they keep track of that over the summer and submit that to the Pollution Control Agency, and that helps us a lot to kind of keep track of the conditions of our lakes across the state and whether they're getting better or worse. And so we really appreciate that effort that people across the state are doing.
Now, how many years have you been doing this? The MPCA has been doing this?
Oh, many years. As you mentioned, the Berg family here on Long Lake, just outside of Detroit Lakes, have been doing it for 25 years, and we have quite a few families across the state that have made that a family tradition for many years.
All right. And you also have a river and stream monitoring program as well.
That's right, and actually what we're doing right now is really promoting getting volunteers for our stream and lake monitoring, because we don't have as much participation in that area. And at this time in this area, one of the areas we're promoting quite heavily is anyone who's living along the Buffalo River as well as the Buffalo River tributaries. We're encouraging to volunteer to take samples, and that's a little bit different process on the streams and the rivers than it is in the lake, but it's still relatively simple. And we provide all the equipment and information people need to do the monitoring. And so if someone along the Buffalo River watershed does have an interest in participating in this, we encourage them to contact the PCA and volunteer.
All right, and people can find more about this on the website as well. You have a website.
Exactly. If they just Google the Minnesota Pollution Control Agency Citizen Monitoring Program, there'll be all kinds of information there.
All right, I'm Carol McCarthy here today on Long Lake with Dan Olson, and we're going to be talking to Courtney Berg, who is going to show us how they go about monitoring the water when we return here on Hometown Happenings. Welcome back to TV3. Carol McCarthy here with Courtney Berg and Dan Olson. We are talking about the Citizen Water Quality Monitoring Program that Courtney's family has been doing for 25 years. And Courtney, obviously you're not 25 years old.
No, I'm only 17.
Okay, but you've been doing this for quite a while yourself.
Since I was like 7, I have been helping out with the monitoring.
Okay, and what do you have here in your hands?
It's a sucky disc.
Okay, how do you spell that?
S-E-C-C-H-I.
Okay, I called it a sucky disc, and I was quickly corrected by both these folks here. So obviously I'm a rookie to this, so I want you to tell us a little bit about how you go about doing your testing.
All right, what you do is you take this disc and you drop it down into the water until you can barely see it. So right when the white starts to go away, you grab the line and you start counting. There are red and black markers, and they are a foot apart. If you're counting by the red, you just only use the red, and if you're using the black, it's only the black, and you start counting the feet till you bring the disc back to your boat.
Okay. And then do you record this? You record it on a sheet of paper?
Yep, and then you turn it in at the end of the year to the MPCA, and they get all the data together.
Okay. Now, when you started doing this, did you realize what it was all about and what it was all for, or was it just something that your mom and dad told you to do?
It was something that they taught me to do, and I knew somewhat about it because I have done several school reports on this because I know what it is.
Okay, so what is the importance of this then?
It shows like the lake clarity and how well we're keeping our lakes clean.
Mm-hmm. Now, in your years of experience, have there been years that it's been more clear and less clear?
Yeah, last year I think the first reading we took was actually 26 feet deep, and it was really shocking, and then a couple weeks later it was only 12.
Okay.
So.
And it varies the different seasons?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the different months?
Yep.
Okay. And Dan, why don't you tell us a little bit about what, why would it differ from month to month?
Right. As Courtney mentioned, there can be quite a bit of variability during any particular season, and that sometimes has to do with how much rain we're getting that year or how much rain we're not getting that year. And so there's quite a bit of variability within years and even across a couple of years. But what we look for then is over time, we try to look at the data, and at the least we want to have about 10 years of data to really get a sense of what's going on so that we really can see the trend, whether it's getting better or worse. Because if you look just like in 1 year, 2 years, or even 3 years, you're probably not going to really know what's happening. So we really like to get that long-term monitoring going on of at least 10 years so we can determine whether or not the trends are real.
Okay. Now, Courtney, is this something that you intend to keep up? I mean, after you move away from home, I mean, is it that important to you?
It is, but it isn't. If I live on a lake, I will definitely sign up for the program. But if I end up living in a big city, then I will come back and help my parents do it.
So after these reports that you've done for school, I mean, are kids more, do kids seem more aware, or do your classmates seem more aware of this this issue?
Well, yeah, because they look at it and go, what's a Secchi disc? And they pronounce it sucky or however you want to call it. And then they look at it and go, oh, that's actually really interesting because it shows how our lakes are.
All right, and now this obviously is very helpful to a lot of different industries in our state, of course, with our tourism, with our fishing, and that sort of thing.
Right, and what it also helps us to do is, because as a state agency we're limited in the number of people we have, and so we can't get out to all the lakes every week the way that our lake and stream monitor people do. They actually, Courtney goes out once a week during the summer and to the same spot and takes a reading. And so what that's able to help us do is determine where the problems are, so that we know where to apply our resources and attention to correcting a situation before it gets really bad and out of control. We can maybe help take some steps with the Lake Association and others to get some efforts in place where the lakes are deteriorating to stop and hopefully reverse those types of trends.
All right. Now, is there any particular rhyme or reason to the spot that you chose? Or your family chose?
I wouldn't have been old enough to know.
Okay. It was when you were a gleam in your daddy's eyes.
Yeah.
Okay, so is there any rhyme or reason to a spot that they choose, or do they just randomly choose it?
Well, we want them to go to a spot that's deep enough so that, if the lake gets really clear, you can have the disc go down even further to determine just exactly where it disappears. So they definitely want to use or go to a deeper spot on the lake.
Right. I'm on Long Lake here in Detroit Lakes with Courtney Berg and Dan Olson, and we are here talking about the Citizens Water Quality Monitoring Program. And Courtney now has been doing it. She's 17. Her family has been doing it for 25 years. Now, the people that you have doing this, have they been long-timers or been doing this for a while?
Yeah, oftentimes we do have families like Courtney's that make it a family tradition, and the kids end up helping out over the years and make it part of, like I said, a thing that the family does over many years in many cases.
Mm-hmm. Now, were there any years that you may almost have missed, or any good stories about going out with a Secchi disc?
I think I fell in once. That's about it.
Did you have a rope with some spots on it tied to you? To see how far you went?
No.
Okay. Any times you may have forgotten your Secchi disc and say, hey, let's throw Courtney in instead?
No, I don't think they've ever done that.
Okay. All right. So now you record this on the data sheet, and obviously there's the different. Just describe what's on here.
Basically, it's just we provide a form, and we also, I should mention, we provide some of the equipment, the Secchi disc and other things that people need to complete this task. They basically log the date and their reading of what they observe, and as Courtney mentioned, then they end up submitting that to the state, and then each year the state publishes a report on lake clarity across the state, and the results of the monitoring that have taken place across the state get recorded each year, and people can get that report. And it's also available online if people want to go and review the clarity of their lake. If it happens to be one of those that we have a citizen monitoring team on, they can go and review over time what the clarity of their lake has been doing.
All right, Dan Olson and Courtney Berg, Citizen Lake Monitor from Long Lake for Hometown Happenings TV3. I'm Carol McCarthy.